Hello, we are on our fifth session of Mountain Home. Mountain Home is a Forts in the Dark game of settlement building. My name is Lowell, pronouns he, him, and this session is part of the games that I run, but also I record a ton of these and put these out there. I have a site, ageofravensgames.com, that has links to the various videos, has links to RPG histories, and has links to blog posts that I've done. So all of that stuff is there, all of those lovely resources. I mention that because I'll probably be restarting my Patreon at some point. So I gotta get the thing out there. So because I stopped that a while back when I took over managing the Gauntlet. So we're going to be doing that. So I just wanted to put that out there. We are in our third year, the beginning of our third year for our Dwarven Founders. And we're going to be doing that kind of setup and walking through things here, kind of going over what has occurred. We have at the start of the year the question of the entanglements, as well as sort of have what has gone on with the various factions at this point. So I'd like to do a scene first, like go do the once around and give everyone a chance to call a scene themselves, and then we'll bring the kind of council together and we'll talk about what has occurred. This is kind of in that interim. We did a scene last time of what the year-ending celebrations look like, and so on. And I imagine that we're in the early part of the year. We're seeing the snows falling outside, the dwarves kind of settling in for winter. You've got larger scale farming now, and that requires some more tending to things, but you are getting set up. So I'm going to pull up the keeper here. I don't know why I didn't have that already open. That seems like a foolish choice on my part. And since we are on session 5, Dagriel, you are in the starting position for
Oh no.
this session here. Dagriel of the Onyx Blood, what scene do you want to call? Do you want to interact with an NPC? Do you want to interact with a PC? Do you want to do a more narrative scene? What would you like to do to kind of start this time out here?
Ooh, this is interesting. Think think maybe I'm gonna call a scene, and it's probably going to see Grun.
Going to
Yeah, to visit Grunheld.
Okay.
So
So are you approaching this like a visiting of an honored elder, or are you trying to catch Grunhild at another time and place? Like, what is your purpose here?
let's see here. That's a good question. I think I'm probably going to be a little bit more formal than I usually am. So yeah, like to the point where I'm actually carrying with me you say some of the tools of my trade. So, one of those great big uh ledgers and
Mm-hmm.
um writing materials. And I have like my guild, like uh the sort of formal scarf thing that's draped over my shoulders. But I've asked for this meeting. So
I think Murdwin greets you, and he will say, I will announce you to our current founder of our guild. And Grunheld, Murdwin comes in obsequious as always. He's always polite and deferring to your face. And he will say, the appointment that you set, the Guildmaster Dagriel.
She's arrived. Thank you very much.
I will show her in.
Dagriel.
And I'm like, Grunheld. And sort of bows and kind of like looks to see for where you're asking her to meet you. Like
I will,
or whatever.
Yeah, wherever I imagine I'm probably at some sort of desk or something, something where I might have been working, and I'll come down and as I get within a fairly close proximity of you, I greet you in the name of my guild and with friendship from myself, and reach out a hand.
And yeah, I think Dario kind of smile and go, the scholars too send their tidings to you and yours. And then they will take the proffered seat.
Please, would you care for tea or something a little stronger?
Tea will be fine.
Wonderful, wonderful. And I think I'll pull like a kettle off the hearth and pour for us. Please be comfortable. What can I do for you?
And I think they stop and they go, so when we move down to the next level, how are we going to use that space?
Well, I suppose we're going to first have to see what we find there. We were lucky to find that you found that iron. But finding other ores would definitely be a big help. Along with that, it's going to be helpful for us to be making things here, I would think.
That's exactly the problem. It sort of says we're going to need that space for establishing what we need to build more, but we are, for all practical purposes, camping on our own doorsteps. And we've hit a bit of a problem. It's just that we've collected enough stuff, things that are worthy of keeping and holding and studying, and we are running out of places and ways to store them. And sort of stopped and said, I would like permission, perhaps, to make a series of smaller, controlled digs, maybe to hollow out some more space. If not on this next level, perhaps, and sort of stops and says, I would hate to destroy any of the beautiful work in the area that we have from there as well as another alternative. But we are simply running out of places and spaces to keep things that are very important for us to have, to hold on to these things.
And by us, you're meaning the scholars.
The guild, yes.
Well, I think that I sort of agree with you that so much we have put right in front of our door, and knowledge is perhaps the greatest treasure we will ever have.
Exactly.
We should have it properly defended, and I see no reason that I wouldn't support Are you thinking libraries or perhaps even an academy?
Oh, long term, those sound marvelous, but right now we simply need a controlled vault where we can put these things and not have to worry about the elements getting to them, or those spider monkey things, or any number of other things. It is amazing how the elements conspire to destroy everything and anything.
I wholeheartedly agree with you. I am more than happy to support your motion to accommodate the scholars in well, a more secure area. To me, I imagine the places that we currently have being where we allow visitors to come, but it is not wise to allow visitors too deeply into our home. Having our more treasured things on the second level where only our own kind go, that seems wise.
So I will put a number of my members to a place for looking for a short-term storage, maybe closer to here, a minor dig at most. And then perhaps we will draw lots, and a couple of them will go and scout out to see if there is a place as we approach the level below that might be amenable to something more permanent, at least as a vault or storage space for the things that we have found and collected.
Maybe Dawson could also be of some help to you there.
Dawson?
There are amongst his guild those that scout, and of course, if you're wishing to find the best stone, Dawson may be our best stone speaker in our new home.
It had not occurred to me, but perhaps it is that I have become accustomed to Dawson doing the things that Dawson does every day. I will go and have a talk with him.
I would also mention, if we are going to extend further down, already my Hearthguard seem, well, almost thinly stretched, especially as we may see some enmity from our neighbors. It will be important to recruit more, or to perhaps put up certain defenses within the home.
That sounds fun. I mean, I will go back and speak to my guild. I'm certain that we can come up with some idea that will be helpful for the situation in front of us.
Excellent. Please drink your tea. And Dagriel, it is always such a pleasure to have you visit. And I'll start having little small talk beyond business if you're willing to sit a few minutes.
Certainly. In fact, you kind of get the idea that they did the formal thing just so they could have the nicer tea. And they sort of enjoy that instead of having more bramble leaf tea.
I'll bring up,
which is lovely. So
and I'll bring up, since you mentioned the squirrel monkey problem, I'll bring up, with my little Drake there, that I have a breeding program hopefully coming online with more of my little Drakes. They hopefully will be able to rout out these terrible vermin.
Ooh. And I go, are they fast?
Well, Fidget here is a little old, but the young ones will be quick as lightning.
Ooh. Might be a good way to bring in the new year. Some little Drake races.
Oh. I don't know if they're going to be that many. They're still a little ways away from hatching, because I don't think I finished my project, did I?
Right. No.
Yeah. But by next year, oh, indeed.
Excellent. That is very good news. Yeah, and she will touch one of the eggs, like start to reach out to it, realize that they probably shouldn't look for your permission.
Oh, feel free. Feel free.
Okay.
They're
And
very
then-
hardy.
They're very warm. Ooh.
That is the key.
I would like to cut from there. And Tolan, if you would change your name in Zoom, and then I'll have you call a scene.
Okay. Yeah, let's see. I keep seeing all these weird runes. I think I'm gonna go research that.
Okay.
See if Dagrel has any information on them.
Dagriel, what does the scholars area look like right now when Tolan comes down to find you and speak with you on this? What is it? Super organized? Is it chaotic? Like what is the notable features we see?
I think the first thing that's notable is that it's not that it's chaotic, it's as organized as it can be, but they have clearly been collecting a lot of this, like just like what you're asking about, those runes and the pieces and the things and the hints. There are a collection, like their table that's supposed to be their dining table is entirely covered with essentially boards on bricks, and beneath each set of boards there's clearly stones and scraps and things that are like findings that they've like drawn pictures of. There's the books that are off to the side on the chairs. Then there's another stack of bricks and boards, more and more, and it's like taller than a dwarf up on the top of the dining table. There's stuff that's too big that's under the dining table. All the chairs have books on them, and for the most part the scholars are sort of slouching around, like finding a space on the floor, or they've got like a couple of low seats that they're sitting on, but they're just like, it's not even a library, it is just that sort of thing of all of the source material and the stuff that they're copying down and writing, and they're kind of all have theories and stuff, and you hear them talking about like, well, maybe this is this, and they're leaning into it, and every once in a while fist fight breaks out, and it's just very much that kind of sort of, because might makes right.
Right.
I'll show you a proof.
Yeah.
So Tolan, is this intriguing to you? Is it overwhelming? Is it puzzling? Like, I know that you're a little more studied of the laborers in some ways.
In some ways, I don't think I spend a lot of time here, but I like to make things, and sometimes it's helpful to know how other people have made things. If you don't have somebody to show you. So I think Talon is good at learning how to do things from books, if he can find, the information. So yeah, I get there and look around like, hey, okay, I did find information on beekeeping over there, but that gives me no idea where to look for these runes.
The runes. Okay. You're going to have to give me an example. We found 3 separate families of styles of runes, some of which have some familiarity to us, and some which are, well, I would say that they're probably a personal set, maybe a cipher set of some sort. But please let me see what you're looking at. And then they'll all gather around because they're a bunch of nosy,
my sketch of the runes.
Yeah. Oh, where did you find this one?
The tunnel we were in. You didn't notice him?
And I sort of stop and I go, no, I did not notice this one.
They're down near
I
the
said,
floor.
ah, really?
Yeah, yeah. It's I've seen them in the rubble too, but they were here and there along the wall, spaced out, but always near the floor.
Near the floor. And I kind of look and say, I look at the others and go, does that ring any bells for you? What would that usually carry for a purpose and a reason?
Kind of a muttering. They said, "Well, we've noticed this one. There was the marks on some of the bricks in the Great Hall, and it wasn't when they were recorded. We were still figuring things out. We're still in the gathering of details phase before the analysis phase."
Yeah, categorization is like some of the stuff is what we're working
Collection.
on.
Collection.
Collection, definitely collection. We try not to get too ahead of ourselves in theorizing, and yet, oh, that's the most delicious part.
So,
Right.
Tolan, you have some aid here. You have the scholars, and you have Dagriel. So let's have you make a fortune roll.
Cool.
Because I think this is more about luck than it is about organized study. With 2 dice.
No, this is all study. If it works, it was study. It was...
You described this a little chaotic. I think we're going with the. So, Tolan, roll me 2 dice.
2 dice. Oh, that's why am I trying to roll d10s? I don't know.
Because
I
you'd rather be
love
rolling
These are the
D10s
D10s than
best dice in the
D6s.
world.
No, because I'm playing Spire on Mondays.
Oh.
It's a 1 and a 3.
Ooh.
Which has a very
So-
similar like dice pool, but with d10s.
Yeah. So I think that you will like look through, and what is clear from the scraps that have been pulled up and the things is there's a real absence of information on this that says to you that somehow, for some reason, information on this particular marking, this particular rune has been obscured. You saw a little bit of that in the tunnel where some of the markings have been defaced of this one. But I think
Ooh,
you
but
kind of
that's information, and I think we all stand and go, something been defaced in some places. Do you think this is a mark of something that later fell out of favor? We're sort of like looking at that going, ooh, this is a good mystery. We all it's like all 12 of them
I
are
could show
gathered
you
right
some of the
around you.
marks.
Yeah, where are they?
Uh,
Let's get that pattern. And yes,
okay.
you can give
So-
us a tour.
So you have you do some more rubbings, gather some more information, but you kind of hit that dead end in that available set of resources that you have.
Awesome.
Dawson, let me come to you. What scene would you like to call? Who would you like to talk to, a PC or NPC wise?
Sort of continuing in a similar vein, but I imagine with a different angle. I want to go see Tolan.
Okay.
Talk about the weird magic of this mountain.
Tolan, I know that their farms are up above surface. I know that laborers move all kinds of places. Where is the guild hall for the laborers? Is it on the surface? It is in the mountains? And where is your space in relation to that? Or do you bunk with them, or do you have your own founders' quarters? What do you think?
That's a good question. I think the guild hall is I think it is underground. It's definitely on the first level. It's like the closest to the the entrance, because people are going out all the time. It's built from some of the scattered bricks from several different buildings, and you can tell they were different buildings because the bricks are like different colors and have some are like made of slightly different materials. Like they're all brick, but
Right.
dwarves have, this kind of brick is better for this thing. This kind of brick is better. You get this kind of really, really hard yellow brick. That's for.
Yeah, you got the different qualities of brick. Dawson, I think this is the first time you've kind of gone to the laborers' camp. You've interacted with Tall and stuff like that, and I think that you come through, and I think that the laborers stop, and I think you hear, "Hey, nice beard there." Oh yeah, look at that's got clothes. Oh yeah, and you get various
Don't you have work
various.
to be doing?
Oh, but you're distracting us.
What? Stop doing that. Why are you doing that?
I think Tolan, you'll hear the sounds of the both the men and women wolf whistles that you recognize as the hazing that they do when somebody who's maybe a little more hoity-toity to their perception comes down here. And you'll pop
Why
out.
is this happening?
That's what you hear, doesn't it?
Kind of sigh. I'm like, they shouldn't be doing that, and he is making it so much worse.
They see you come out tall, and they know this is a founder, and so they'll quickly kind of fall back into work. Maybe a few more, that sound, but then they get back to what they're doing.
Are they all drunk?
No, most they're usually pretty good about not being drunk while working.
I don't. That was. I'm gonna have to take time and think about what I thought about that, but I did not like that. I will be sending a very extensive letter. But that's besides the point.
To who?
What?
Who would you send this letter to?
What? You? Aren't you in charge of them?
More or less. You don't have to send me a letter. You're telling me right now.
Well, I don't feel that I'm expressing it to the full depths of the horror of the situation.
Oh, okay. I'll look forward to your letter detailing that. Yeah. So, what brings you here?
What? No. So, it's pretty obvious, right, that the whole magic of the mountain is screwed up because of the crows.
You made a leap there that I did not make.
What? No, it's very straightforward. We've been performing introductory and welcoming rituals to the mountains for months, and very almost years now. And you did your insane and wildly misjudged, but fortunately lucky, the communion with the mountain, which then led you to the. It led you to the to the surface.
Yes, but I don't think it was about them.
Well, but that's just, it's all wrong though. That's not the direction. I mean, if you communed with the mountain for the secrets of the mountain and the mountain's power, then obviously
Would you like to commune with the mountain?
What?
Would you like to commune with the mountain?
Well, I mean, as I explained, we've been performing introductory rituals.
Using the method that I used.
That seems very dangerous.
But it's the only thing that's worked so far.
It has had the most flashy and over the top results, certainly. Only thing that's worked, though. I mean, that's ridiculous. That's, how could you even prove such a thing?
It's been the only direct communication from the mountain, at least as far as I've heard. I suppose somebody might be communicating with the mountain all the time and not telling anyone.
Yes, but... the crows who are messing up the mountain.
I don't think they're messing it up.
Well, then why isn't it working right?
Why don't you ask the mountain? Come on, I'll make you some of the mushroom brew. It's not poisonous, I swear. It tastes a little like it might be, but it's not.
You know, things that taste like poison usually are, well, they're
Usually,
poison.
but this is not. This is just very strong.
Why don't you demonstrate it first? And then if you don't die, maybe I'll try it.
Of course, sure. I've got another pot brewing up actually. After it worked so well last time, thought I might want to try it again.
Oh, well, I'm glad I got here to add my expertise and competence to your second experiment.
Exactly. You have much more
Horribly foolish
experience in this
idea.
area.
So you start brewing this mushroom tea. It has a pungent aroma. And I think after a couple minutes of that, Oslo will poke her head in and say, "Hey, are you getting high again?"
No,
What?
not yet.
Okay,
This-
no. Like, do you
Dawson
need me
here.
to watch you while you commune, or are
This
you all
is
good?
serious magic.
So you don't need me to
Um,
watch you while you commune.
No, I think we'll be all right. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Just thought I'd check. After last time, some little chalk marks on her afterwards. On him, sorry. Afterwards.
Chalk marks. That wasn't chalk. That didn't wash off for days.
There's different kinds of chalk. So, Dawson, you have a guide here. You have proper circumstances. Would
What?
you? What?
Disagree with all of these phrasings, but sure, yes.
In that case, I think that you are fighting back against their assistance. Then, so, but they're at least providing a channel. So we'll stay with the 2 dice then, because I do think you are pushing back. Would you like a devil's bargain?
Yeah, I was curious. I mean, I'd be open to
Here is the
hearing.
devil's bargain. You will absolutely know that Tolan was able to do this and help you.
Okay, but I don't have to say that, right?
You don't have to say that, but you will know in your heart.
Well, right. I mean, as long as no one else is figuring out any of this.
So yeah, you may take an extra die.
I got a 6.
Got a 6. You will
Well,
reach.
thank goodness for Tolan.
What? That had nothing to do. We just discussed how this had nothing to do with Tolan.
You will, in your mind's eye, feel and see and touch in the spirit of the mountains, and you will see one of your ancestors, one of the old dwarves, a spirit, come forward, comes before you. They are wizened and they are well dressed, and they say, "You have climbed down the depths to where we lie in the far deeps below the waters of the world, where spirits go. We are deeper than that. The roots of the mountain reach there. You're having a problem with the mountain."
We're having communication issues.
This mountain is an ass. This mountain, when you call on it to do things, it will not It is a mountain that is prideful. It is stubborn. But
I
it
knew it.
it also likes to mess with you.
It's because of the crows, right?
What crows?
What? The Tengu, the mystics, meddling with their little feather fingers and things.
I do not know of what you speak.
Oh, problem runs deeper than I expected. Well, the crows probably aren't helping with the whole situation, but you were explaining about how the mountain was a dick, just a giant rock dick.
You will have to do as I did and learn to control your pride, control your expertise, your wanting to know everything and certainty about things. You must treat the mountain as a partner. And you must accept that it is a different kind of wisdom that it imparts.
This is all wildly unorthodox.
Tell me about it. You weren't here for hundreds of years having to deal with this. I can tell that you have only been here in a flicker. Call me in 40 years and we'll see if you have developed the calluses that you need to do this.
40. Hey, that's ridiculous. 40 years. Couldn't possibly take us more than 15 to establish solid contact with the mountain.
You keep telling yourself that, and it fades away. You see Toland that like the Dawson clearly is having a conversation and like you see him take umbrage at whatever conversation he's having and then eventually come back to reality.
He's even offended by the spirits talking to him.
That stupid asshole mountain.
Are you arguing with the mountain?
What? No. I was, well, more commiserating about the sorry state of the mountain.
Did you find out what you wanted to know?
Apparently, we might have to try new methods.
I think that's a good line to cut on. Back to Grunheld. Grunheld, I'd like to have you call a scene.
Alrighty. I think I would like, since we have our merchant inn that we have created there. And I think sort of as a big party for it opening and dedicating it, since I think it's no use unless it's dedicated. So having it doing its thing. And I want to go and try and, it's an end of the year, so it's the traders that we have of our own that have come back to the mountain, and maybe a few that are going to winter over with us.
This is in that January, that sort of first month of the year when they're arriving back to find that the post has been built in the meantime, and the tradesmen return. Many of them having gone back to the homeland to trade there and to trade with your old clan and then the other dwarven clan, and a couple of them have made some very basic contacts with the others that they're the ones that kind of inform you what the problem is with the centaurs right now, and that's going to be an issue, and that kind of thing. But yeah, they gather there together. They are glad to have you there. I think that this is one of the absences, I think, is that you couldn't convince from the old ways to get a founder in charge of the Traders Guild. So you don't actually have a formal Traders Guild like that. That's amongst the founders. We know that there are 4 others, but none of them is a tradesman of that kind. No
We'll have to
merchant
build
guild.
that sometime.
But they will be pleased. They'll be well pleased to return back and to find this place, and there'll be various cheer and talk and things like that. And what do you want to get out of this?
I'm kind of, I guess it's an information move sort of thing. I'm trying to hear the rumors and find the tales that they have of their journeys and see if I can kind of piece together a little of, what's going on around us, and maybe even, dependent on what stories I hear, kind of the mood back home about us doing this. But mainly I want to hear what they've seen of the environments around us.
Okay, let's have you make a host roll.
All right. Rolling. I've got 3 dice for that. 2, 3. Roll. I got a 6.
Got a 6. So I will tell you one thing, and then you can establish a fact yourself. How's that sound?
Excellent.
You will hear that they have heard that one of the traveling skyships that goes across, that is a kind of a trading, entertaining kind of like literally flying circus kind of thing. It is scheduled to stop at your old dwarven hold, and this guy says, if you send me back, I might be able to see if they would be willing to add us as a stop. I don't know what their schedule is or things for the year, but I can't imagine any of the other groups around here particularly being interested in what they have to offer, save maybe for the centaurs. But I can go and do that if you'd like.
That would be excellent. It would be a true boon to our new home to have them visit.
They are said to be coming at the end of first quarter, maybe into second quarter there. So I'll arrange my trip such that I'm there around that time.
That is marvelous.
Say a little extra spending money wouldn't go amiss.
I think we can arrange for a little extra weight to your purse.
What is another thing that you hear, that you pick up?
I think that I think that that Trillian's city, he's the one that came from the kind of had been some animosity.
Yeah.
That in that city, they're actually really very interested in what we're doing and kind of excited about this idea of, a new place without the old animosities. And that they are, have A, taken an interest, and B, are pretty interested in trade with us.
Okay.
And
Absolutely.
So it's a real positive kind of vibe coming from them, at least at the moment.
I tell you what I'm going to do. I am going to give you another tick on the reputation clock. But I'm also going to give you 2 ticks on the outsider entanglement clock as more people talking and interested in you.
Makes
Does that seem
sense.
fair? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll move that clock up a little. I think it's, it is as you're kind of like at the tail end, the last of the tradesmen have come through and kind of doing that uh, uh, seated there, kind of talking with the last of them, when you will hear a pounding on the door. And I think you know what the sound of a dwarven knock is, lower on the door. It's a heavy knock at a higher place, like maybe actually kind of shakes the door a little.
Oh, so a visitor from not our own people. I'll look to the innkeeper, but kind of stand up myself and sort of shake myself down and move over to the door. Who knocks, friend? As I open it.
And you'll open it up and you will see pretty much filling the doorway, kind of big winter cloak on, huge shouldered, shaggy with the snow kind of caught in their fur. I want you to imagine like a gray buffalo minotaur.
Ooh.
And he looks in, and you can see that there are a group of others behind him, and they have pack animals, and they're talking with the dwarf that you have running essentially the stables, and they're making arrangements. And he says, "I am Cesano."
Welcome, Cesano. Welcome to Carrick Manor.
Are you open for business?
We absolutely are. Please come in. Be welcome.
And he will come in, and he will say, "I have myself and 7 others in our party."
We accommodate that?
Well, it's going to be tight. It'll be tight. Like real tight. But can you lodge us? We need to pass over the mountains, so we may wish to stay here for a week or 2 until the storms pass.
We certainly can. It may be around simply the hearth. We are newly opened, but you are welcome to our warmth, to fine brew and good food.
And he will sit down, and we're going to come back to this because this is the entanglement that was rolled, is foreign traders for this year. So we will come back after our break to do a scene and essentially have some of them interacting with the 4 of you, so that you can talk with them, and we can kind of work out the trade. Does that sound cool? Okay. Let's take 10. There are some pictures of various minotaurs in the other section of the Mountain Home Pinterest board now, so you can take a look there. So we'll take 10 and we'll come back. So I think we take up, maybe a week later. And I think we're in Carrick Minor itself, in one of the halls there. And at this point, it's you 4, plus maybe there's another founder or 2. But again, we haven't got actors for them, so they're in the background. And Cesano is there. I put a picture of him in the NPC tab, and probably one of his associates. And he says, when we came through last time, it would be what, and kind of turns to the person, I think 11 years ago, when we came through, we had heard word of the dwarves and your former settlement, but there was a war on. There was some sort of dwarven civil war, or I didn't understand the dynamics of it, but we did not visit then. But when we came back this way, this time, we stopped in at the other place and we talked with people and we traded. I found that had been resolved, and then we heard tale that on the path that we were headed, that there was another dwarven settlement, a new one, Eric Minor, and people spoke excitedly of it. So we were very pleased when we came through the snows and saw the lights of your inn as a place to stay over. We had not been as welcomed by others traveling through the area. So we were glad to see people of discrimination and taste, shall we say. So
we are very sorry you were treated poorly, but you are most welcome here.
No, we had encountered the centaurs before on our way through. We had passed through the Quranic duchy, and they had been. We are used to dealing with the haughty. They are truly that. And now, even with the disruptions to their empire, they remain as. I suspect it is because their bodies are raised up so high that their noses is that far in the air. That is my suspicion. He laughs. He's clearly told this joke like multiple times. You
I
know,
laugh too.
kind of does it like a dad joke at this point.
Don't we all have jokes like that, though? I think so.
I mean, Dawson just nods seriously as if he is stating scientific fact.
So we are headed back. So we have been at this caravan for 12 years now. So we have worked and gotten our load to take back to our homeland down to those things of the smallest size and greatest value to us. But we do have some things to trade. We would perhaps trade for food or preserved goods or that sort of thing.
You have those.
Yes, we'd be happy. Yes.
Good. Yes.
Where do you travel to?
We head east. We are going to make our way back to the free port of Gallatin. It is past the Dead Lakes on the coast. It is where we first arrived. We hope to be able to charter some kind of vessel to take us back.
We have not heard much of what is going on in that area, but we have heard some rumors, perhaps, of it being dangerous. In that where the duchy,
yes,
where the
that
empire,
direction. We know that the Quranic duchy, the centaurs have been forced in there. We know that there are other groups that have been forced. There's some magical changes there, but we are homesick. I think this is our best opportunity. Hopefully Gallatin is still free, and we can find a captain there who will take us.
We hope so for you then. Yes, safe travels to you. Please be welcome here for as long as you need to rest, and our people will happily trade whatever we can with you.
My Scald would love to sit and get the story of your stead here. Maybe not necessarily the old stories, but for the founding and that sort of thing. She has worked very hard to remember all the stories that we have found in this land in the time that we have been here.
I'll kind of look over towards Dagria.
And I'll stand up and go, we have all of the things written down.
Good. What else can I tell you, my dwarven friends?
I think it makes sense for us to ask about that mysterious group that no one seems to know, if they know who those folk are.
I think I'm going to want a social role from someone. Who I think maybe a convince, or host is also a possibility there to kind of wheedle it out of them.
I have a dot of convince. I could do it. I could try it. Sure. Let's see. And you know what? I will push myself. I will be
Okay.
how do you say? Yeah, I'll make the spend.
Spend 2 stress.
I know it's expensive, but I would really like to know some things. And I would like to succeed at a roll once in my life. Okay, so I'm rolling 2d6.
Okay.
There's an off chance this will work. Oh, sorry. I gotta find there it is. All right. So 2d6, here it goes. A 5, not bad.
So I will tell you the little that I know of them. We did not encounter them, but we heard tale of them when we moved through. They were in the far south, a region past the Dead Lakes, close to where the walls of ice begin. There, they are humans, and they are all spellcasters, but they are not like, I do not know how your dwarven magics work. We have my people are animists, elementalists, though unfortunately our wizard passed from an illness early on, but they are wizards with familiars, but they are not natural familiars.
Okay.
They build their familiars. They construct them, and then the familiars, they are the ones that invoke the magic and cast the magic at the connected command of their master. Things of metal, for the most part, as I understand it, shaped like natural things. I do not know if that is like because they summon a spirit of some kind into it, or if it's just function or what, but that is what I have heard. But beyond that, I do not know. I do not even know what they are called. and I do not know what their temperament is like.
You've heard no stories of devastation, at least.
No, just that they kept to themselves very much.
Certainly, it sounds like with young gods walking around, maybe staying quiet isn't the worst idea.
Fair enough. Fair enough. You all are founders, as I understand it. You're all leaders here.
Yes.
Well, he'll turn and look at you, Tolan. You've been quiet.
I just listening.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
These. Have you met any of these people with the construct familiars?
No, we only heard tales of them, that they existed. But when you hear tales of a land that is far away and people describe things in overblown terms, it was like that.
I see.
Far away in the lands of ice dwell these mages. That is what I have heard. But that's what I think they are. Given those markers, the crystal markers you described that border their lands, that is one of the details that I heard about them. That they use that to mark their borders, and that you shouldn't mess with those.
That's useful to know.
Because usually we'd mess with them to figure out what they did.
I'll turn to you, Dawson, and you've also been silent. Are you shy, or are you a deep thinker, or is there something else afoot?
You claimed you had interesting things to trade, but you haven't brought any of them out. They can't be that interesting.
All right. And he will say, well,
Bet you wish you'd stayed quiet now, don't you?
He says, well, I have two things that I can offer in exchange for food. You can choose which one you would wish. And he will bring out essentially, clearly, a kind of a diverse set of goods, clearly picked up on the travels, essentially worth a treasure, worth of exotic goods gathered from around. But then the other thing he pulls out is a leather satchel that he puts down, and he kind of opens it up, and you can see that there are papers inside.
Ooh, we lean forward.
We would be willing to trade one of these. This of course is treasure, and certainly you can put that to use. And it's always valuable to have such things for the food. But then this is an odd collection that we have picked up of, I do not know exactly how to put this, but I will say it as it was told to me: self-actualization manuals.
What?
That is what they told me. Secrets of the self, to improve oneself, to better oneself. That's what I was told.
Well, whose self are they written for?
That seems like a diversity of things.
I'd say the self-actualization sounds
mechanically.
Yes.
They will trade a treasure for a set of books that will give you a point of experience you can put in any track you want.
Oh.
Philosophical tomes.
They sound fabulous. These big eyes.
I will admit they're not the most alluring, perhaps, of things. But maybe you and your settlements might find a good use for them.
I suppose that looking at Dagriel clearly wanting these, Dawson, how are you looking at this sort of concept?
Uninterested. It's made out of paper.
Mm,
Obviously written for someone else's self. It couldn't be written for dwarfy selves. That's ridiculous. We're much more complicated than one little paper book.
Tolan, how are you looking?
Um, I'm curious about the books, but also suspicious of them. Like, or not suspicious, like
Curiosity just
suspicious
means
that
it's
it's
worth
that
it.
they're not actually worth much.
Still, even getting scammed is more interesting than, I don't know, the little bits and bobs.
Get scammed just for the experience.
Exactly. No one's ever
Ah.
scammed me before.
So we can learn what it's like to be scammed.
Exactly. This is the argument I put forth.
Knowledge is very important to our people, and I think it would be interesting to add that to our libraries.
Then I will pass this to you, and we will consider it a deal. I have a second trade I would offer you. I know that you have iron, but that is not a thing that we need for where we are headed. The food that you have as a surplus is more, but I would be willing to offer up this treasure if you would be willing to provide escort guidance, one of your guilds, perhaps scouts or guardsmen, to help us in the passage over the mountain, just to make that trip easier for us.
I think, and as a sign of friendship, I'm sure we can do that.
Excellent. And we will be staying here a little bit longer until the weather clears, and then at that point we can discuss. But I will go ahead, and he'll pass over the treasure to you.
I'll ask him if he has spoken with the Tengu.
What is a Tengu?
They are large bird people. They have taken up in the higher reaches of the mountain, the outside. There are shrines of power there that they attune themselves to.
If the weather were clearer, I might consider going to them, but this does seem like a dangerous time.
This is, however, they are very curious. There's a good chance that you will meet them as you are going across.
And they are benevolent? He'll look around at everyone.
No, they're meddlesome.
Meddlesome.
And I say, they are very aware of everything that is going on, and they have a very strong sense of what they would like out of the situation.
Meddlesome.
We do not need their fonts, nor do we need or have any great desire to have access to the higher reaches of the outside of the mountain. So
their children are very rude, but don't let them, just ignore them.
Okay.
They are
rude children. Okay.
Yes.
That is good to know.
As far as we can tell, however, they do not mean harm to most people.
All right, then. That seems good.
I would ask you, as you have seem to be well aware of the troubles that have befallen this land, I'm curious, has your home seen anything like this? These gods that have descended?
I come from across the water, and when I left, all the gods were still dead. As far as I knew, that the Empire of Masks had forged theirs into weapons. The empires of iron had made the gods into the earth itself, and the Empire of Ghosts had done what they do with dead gods. I did not know that there were living gods. This is very strange to me. But we're in the far western edge of the Middle Sea, to the west of Kajafir, the land of coffee, and that is, I had not heard of it until I was here, and until a few years ago was when I started to hear tales come to us.
Then let us hope that this is not a plague that you return home to. Please, again, be welcome as long as you wish to stay, and I'm sure that all of our community would love the opportunity to host and get to know you and your companions.
And he will also say, my Scald, as I said, would like to speak to your lore keepers. But if you have rune masters, he would trade with them for the marks that they have, perhaps to trade some power that way. So with this book, everyone can pick one of their tracks: insight, prowess, resolve, or special abilities, and mark a point of XP on one of those tracks.
And that actually gives me a point.
And you will get a point of treasure. Yes. Assuming that we're going to assume that the guide thing is followed through on. You'll just need to tell me which guild is getting sent when that happens.
Yes. So I think that we will host the Minotaur Skulls, but we also, because we are us, like we'll get to telling our stories and we'll get all excited and we'll get into fights and stuff, and eventually we'll it's just kind of how we tell stories, right? So but eventually we'll talk the Scald into, like, going a few rounds just to try out our fighting style because they're like big and huge, right?
They are
yeah.
They are minotaurs.
Exactly. So but it's not like we're gonna charge each other. It's just a good punch. We've got armor. They're huge. Whatever. We'll figure it out. No hard feelings.
So,
but I just got a point in skirmish. That's this is it for kind of leveling that up to one. It's just kind of.
I like that. So there is some the scholarship battles that go on.
Exactly.
Grunheld has kind of sort of directed the thing. Is there anything that you want from them? Told them while they're here.
I can't think of anything.
Okay, absolutely. They will be curious about like how the doors, like this whole underground city thing seems to be very unusual to them, and so they come and watch you work and things, and like clearly, like when you get to the like you would go tunnels deeper in, they're like, nope, that's okay, you go ahead. They're like, they do not want to go. You can tell that they get kind of claustrophobic under the mountain there. Dawson, what about you? Do you talk with their skald?
Their fancy storyteller singer person?
That has runes? Yes.
Oh, runes.
That's yeah.
Okay, that's slightly more interesting, I guess, or whatever.
Yeah, their storyteller, she will say, I have collected some markings of power and the invocations for them, some from my homeland. Perhaps you can show me some of what you do, and I can show you some of these things that might inspire you.
Are these that he sort of looks to the side as if lowers his voice as if they might be talking about something like a little shameful or something? These wild surface runes?
I don't know uh if you would call them that. They're from various places. We have rune mages where we come from who channel the elements. Some of this is what they do. And a couple of these I picked up as we've traveled, markings of power that I've seen.
Oh, that's interesting. Are they the sort of thing that's safe to do underground? I mean, I feel like there would be a lot of light, wind. There's always lots of wind.
She says, I don't know. You are clearly the expert.
Oh, well. Here, let me show you some sensible, solid runes.
Please. What? Like, do you want to try and show off and impress and like demonstrate the how good your stuff is?
Um, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna mark some pre-chiseled runes, and say, you tell stories and share songs and things like that too, right?
Yes, yes.
Well, you may be interested in these, and he'll hold up a like sort of finger long crystal, with his like podcasting rune that
Mhm.
he invented, carved into it. It says this will perfectly capture up to an hour of any sort of performance you want to
Oh,
say around it, and we'll play it back later with
oh.
minimal interruptions.
She listens to it. There's something about pillows at the end they talk about.
It's minimal interrupt. But who doesn't like a good pillow? Were you thinking about pillows? As a traveler, surely you must be thinking of nice pillows.
And she will hand you some paperwork and stuff, inspirational things. The next time you go to make a rune, it will be one tier higher.
Ooh.
Does that sound
Exciting
like a
heretical rune work.
yes? Like there's some of it you're like, okay, I kind of recognize what this is from, what the derivation is. So maybe this isn't quite so bad. And she will thank you for showing her, what you can do, how you do it. Do you show her your clay self?
No, I don't know if that's a like outsiders passing through sort of thing.
Interesting. Yeah, I was
Be
wondering about that.
shy.
But yeah, she will thank you for your time, and appreciate that, and head on. She says the scholars are keeping me busy with the tales that they're telling. They talk
And the
very
drinking.
fast, and then they punch one another.
That's why Learn that rune. You won't have to worry about scribbling down notes anymore.
Oh, that's a good point. That is a good point. So they will stay for a couple of weeks. You know, here's the thing. The other entanglement you got was extra yield.
Ooh.
So I'm going to say that that you had a bumper crop, which you were able to turn around into this, strong relationship and the exchange for resources and so on. Does that seem fair?
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
And like, which guild is going to take them? Is it the scouts? Is it the guardsmen, or is it one of the NPC guilds that is sent to escort them?
Can send the Hearthguard, or do you want to send the scouts?
Either way, what are let's look and see who might be better. What are your like positive negatives for the guards?
They are slow, but they are loyal.
I have inventive and reckless.
Hmm.
So it might be an interesting trip, but it might be a safer trip with the guards.
Why don't you have one of each? They can balance each other.
If we're using a supply, do you have a supply to use?
I can, yeah.
I mean, I don't mind doing it if you want me to. I'm happy to send the guard.
Let's see. Somewhere in here's a guild. Few guild members. I will send Rylela and two of her fellows, and she is just absolutely thrilled.
So which guild is going to go?
Moray, the
Okay.
scouts.
All right. So you will send Raylela. They're tier 1, correct?
I think so. They're the same tier as us. Yeah.
So why don't you roll a fortune die plus their tier? Why don't you roll me 2 dice?
Fours.
4 and a 4. So they will go. They will escort them. It takes longer than you would care for, and there's a good deal of time when you are kind of at like half supply. So you do spend a supply for this. So that's sort of the cost. But they will come back and they will tell you stories of what they saw, Dawson, and how they proceeded, and they give you all of that. So you may mark a point of experience on insight.
Oh, interesting.
I think that makes sense. Like, you've assisted them. It's like assisting a fellow PC, and you've expended that supply. So that seems fair.
As they're heading out, I will make sure to ask if they, if any further caravans come through. We would very much appreciate them stopping by here.
I will stop and he will say, I don't, it will be years and years, but I will pass on word of that. And he does stop and he says, if the situation is grim at Gallatin, may we impose on your hospitality again if we have to come back?
You are our friends, and our home will be open to you.
Thank you so much.
Safe travels.
And be well here in this very enclosed space that you live in. Very, very enclosed. And they will head out. So I'd like to do a once around basically giving you an opportunity if there's something you'd like to look into, or establish, or that kind of thing. The building up facts about the world or uncovering facts about the world with an eye to having like an angle for future expeditions, or adding to the dimensions of that kind of thing. Does that seem fair with what we did last time? Toland, you were the quietest amongst the people interacting with our Minotaur friends, so I will start with you.
Yeah. So I'm not sure what I would do about this, but I have
Want to
this.
dig further into those runes or something else?
Well, that's also interesting. But I was thinking this unknown group of human mages with constructed familiars. That reminds me a lot of Dawson's clay, avatar.
Mhm.
And I'm not sure what I would want to do about that to find out more, other than it might be interesting to go see them. But
Do you want us to go like scout around the area to see if you can
yeah,
pick
I
up
think
anything?
so. I think so.
Uh so let does that feel like scout or journey?
Um, I mean, I have the same in both, so that might actually be. No, it's probably scout.
Okay. Uh are you marking anything supply wise to assist with this?
Oh, good question. I could probably do that, couldn't I? Yeah, cartographer's gear. I am making maps of the area, since I'm going that way.
Okay. So that will increase your, would you rather increase your position to make it controlled, or would you rather have greater effect?
Um, let's go with greater effect.
Okay. Do you want a devil's bargain?
Sure.
Well, I think the devil's bargain is however much you find out about them, they find out about you.
Sure.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. In that case, you get 2 dice.
Cool. And they both fail.
They both fail. I think that you will scout out there, and you will perhaps get a little ambitious, and you are a little unsteady. So I do
Uh-huh.
think there is that moment when maybe you like slip and go further than you want to, and kind of realize that you've crossed one of these boundaries. And you will see essentially, as you're kind of looking around, that you're fairly close to one of those crystal marking posts, and you can see that it has changed color since you've been there. And you will look and you will see a man in armor and robes, coming this way at a brisk pace, and he has a enormous metal lion with him.
Cool.
And I think you take off. Like I think like that's your immediate sort of fight or flight reaction, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, you'll confirm it. Like you see him come, and he doesn't give chase, but he definitely like watches. You've definitely crossed over some threshold, and you will. I mean, this it looks like a real lion, but I mean it's clearly made of metal. Very fine workmanship. You admire that. And at a certain point, you will see the lion goes up to that crystal hole and exhales. And like there's a cloud of something, and the post turns back to the original color. And
That's
here's the
very
consequence.
interesting.
If you wish to avoid the consequence is I'm going to put 2 ticks on the outsider entanglement track.
How many ticks do we have?
Not that many. You're only at a +1 right now. That wouldn't even push it up into the next
Oh, I see how
bracket.
they were. I was looking at it like, how does that work? Yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah, actually you're in the +2, but now I realize it does this. But yeah, we'll do 2 ticks there.
That will not bite us at all.
No, it will not. And actually, it's the track has to be filled up. Once it gets filled up, then it'll be the +2.
Yeah, and I mean those pluses just mean that we're opening up the more interesting entanglements.
That is very true. That is very true. Let's come then to Grunheld. Come back to our usual order here. What's it you'd like to do?
To kind of go along with the idea that we had this dice harvest. Obviously, we've used a lot to help these travelers, but I think I will kind of load up a little something and just go do a friendly visit to our gnolls,
Okay.
folk, and take a couple of the home guard just to kind of walk along with me, protect my old ass.
Right.
But go and just have a friendly chance to meet up and discuss with their leader, how this year's been with us, how their year has been. Just a friendly visit.
Absolutely. And I think that they will both give you a sense of and confirm what you already knew about where the faction clocks are. That no one has kind of finished the projects that they started yet. The centaurs are hiring mercenaries, so they do have hired some, but they're still working on that. The gnolls themselves are trying to build these new defenses. They're working towards that end. But nothing else big has changed.
And their fear is the
gnomes.
The gnomes.
Yeah.
And I'll ask you to have you been having encounters with them?
Oh, they harry our people when they cross paths with them out in the wilds. We know now, we've learned over the last few years sort of where the gnomes operate out of. I think part of the reason that they started with us was that they suspected that we were and the gnome chieftain kind of stops and says they suspected we were carrion scavengers, that we would be interfering with their places, the graveyards and things of that sort. They have been disabused of that notion, but they still have very much an unpleasant attitude.
It is a shame in this day and age such regressionist views are held.
I think we are people. We worship our ancestors and we commune with those spirits, but we do not call them up and bind them. The arts of necromancy that they practice are vile to us.
It is vile to us as well. We We speak with our ancestors as well. Their voices reverberate through the stones, but it is wholly wrong to force them into service here in this world.
It is not good for us that the pressure that they apply. There are some younger ones amongst my people who bristle at this, and I'm afraid that sometime maybe some of them might get out of control. I fear giving the gnome cause to actually go to war with us.
This should be avoided. Our friendship means a lot to us, and I would want to see your people prosper.
And we would. It serves us well if Karak Minor, your place, becomes a center of trade and travel and commerce. It is certainly in our wishes. And there may come a time when we will need to seek refuge for a bit, and we hope that we can call upon your people.
We will always welcome our friends, but war does none of us any good at this time.
True.
I did bring you a bit more of the pipe weed, and I will break some out.
I was not going to ask, and yet I wanted to ask, so there we are.
And so we'll smoke and enjoy a good conversation.
Dawson, what do you want to do here?
So that ancestor spirit that helped out with the sort of ritual earlier.
Yeah.
They talked about like being down in the depths and the roots of the mountain.
Yeah. So what it is in sort of the cosmology of the dwarves, most people believe that when they die, because there are no gods and no heavens, that there is an ocean underneath the surface of the world, and your spirits go into that ocean and swim around there until they become part of the ocean and then are reborn. That's a very commonplace notion across different cultures and so on, and that ancestors can be called up from that, can be formed out of that. But the dwarves believe that the dwarven people, they come from the stone that lies beneath the ocean. Like that's the depths that they come from, that the mountains reach down through that ocean into the floor of the waters, that they are of a deeper kind.
That seems much more reasonable.
Yes. Much more reasonable.
All this
that checks out.
Water soul stuff. So I foresee we definitely want to make a deeper connection with the mountain over time, and I think having the help of that ancestor, some of the ancestors that are still sort of hanging around the mountain, would be helpful. So
do you want to give that particular ancestor that you called up a name?
Yeah, I'd love to. Oh wait, me? Ah, damn.
I heard you say yes already, so I like you've already committed.
All right, it's on the list, but we'll figure that out soon.
Okay.
But I want to, like Dawson personally, I want to sort of travel down to the lowest areas that we've explored of the mountains so far.
I think right now, like no one has gone down to below this first level of depth.
It's so far.
Yeah.
And I have as one of my playbook things an effigy of an honored ancestor. This effigy might increase the effect of a conversation with a dead ancestor or help ease a conversation with another dwarf. I want to like set up an ancestor shrine down there. Sort of keyed into that one in particular, but a general shrine down there to start, building up our connection with them and hopefully maybe luring in some more.
Sure. Let's have you roll Stone Speak.
Okay. Oh, and I have a couple more pre-made runes from my spend earlier, so I might as well. I'm gonna use another one of those podcast runes to repair or record like a cycle of sort of prayers, chants to the ancestors that will like play on a loop. I want to push myself for that too.
Okay.
I feel that might be more appropriate than a devil's bargain at this particular moment.
Sure.
Fours, but fours.
So I think that you will make that contact. But it is kind of wild and out of your control. And it will break that effigy. That is a consequence you can resist if you wish.
Yeah, I think I carved this one specifically for her.
Okay. So I think insight is the way to do that.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was looking at I can't resist with special. Two. I got a 5.
Okay. So you're just going to mark one stress. You may mark a point of XP on your special track.
Ooh, neato.
And if you go to build an ancestral or religious building there on that second floor, when you go to do that, your effectiveness will be up 1 tier.
Oh, nice.
So, if you roll a 4 or 5, it'll go up to a 6. If you roll 6, it'll go to a critical success kind of thing for the process of building that. Let's take our second break here. Just take 5. We have a bio break here. Then we're going to go to Dagriel and Dagriel's actions, and then we're going to talk about expeditions. Dagriel, what is it that you would like to do?
So, I had talked about more space for all of our excellent stuff. I assumed there would be something that would be like akin to a library or something, but there isn't. Apparently, we dwarves don't do that. The closest we get to that is we have like vaults, or we have an orrery.
Do you want to start planning out what a library would look like?
Yeah, I think that would be interesting.
Tell me what that process would be like. You realize that, the old ways at your old place, things were handled this, but you've come here and they clearly didn't have a library, or it was destroyed, or it's buried somewhere else. But you've got to deal with that now. So what do you think you do?
I think we have a conversation about it, and as we go further, we're going to find more of this stuff. So think that we're going to build the first library. This will be the surface library. At this time, it'll hold what we have now. But as we expand, for each level, we will attempt to build one of these. And then we will specialize these libraries more and more as we go. It gives us a chance to review what we hold so that we can make use of it and rediscover it when the time is right and ripe. And so is this agreeable? And if it isn't, let's fight.
So what do you think the role is for that?
It's a good idea. That's a good question, though. Hold on. I mean, I have like 1D and everything, so it's not study, though I would love it to be. So this is probably like, we could do it with dig, or we could do it with convince. We could even do it with stone speak and ask the stone where it needs to be. I mean, or we could do study and try to make like some sort of, I don't know, sensible, like from, essentially the thing of not like we're looking at books, but we're looking at what we have and figuring out what the ideal organization thing would be, and then what sort of space we need to have it. So I could do either of those, whatever you like. I mean, study is appealing to me.
Yeah, let's have your real study.
Okay. All right, so I have 2d6. Let's see here, and then let's see, this isn't a downtime action though, is it?
This isn't.
No. I have to remember that my downtime actions when I research or acquire asset, but those aren't always the downtime. That's not usually what your downtime actions are doing, so that's interesting. Okay. All right. So I'm going to roll 2d6. I'm going to hope that I get something good. But they're 2d6s. Oh, 2 1s. Oh, so tiring.
So research library activate to get +1
I
to
can
innovation.
see that. I thought I read through it. Okay.
Yeah, that's one that it has in the like ancient ruins spaces, which I'm imagining is why it's about history. But I'm guessing like if you designed and built one, it could be about a different subject.
So let me offer you, well, and that is +1D to gather information roles relating to history. So I would say this is that the action that you've taken will allow you to do a similar thing to the research library. We could do it as an archival library, maybe with the same result. You'd still have to build it, but I think the benefit that you're getting for having like spent the time potentially is that you can put it in a different place. Because as it stands, the research library can only be put in the ancient ruins discovery space. We'll talk about what that's like.
Okay.
But
all right.
I do think that that this sparks a real debate amongst your dwarves, and you will have a knockdown, drag out fight there, and something goes wrong, and one of your researchers takes a tumble off of the table and falls, and there's a silence as he cracks his head on the floor.
I
And-
resist it.
Oh, would you like to resist it before I go on any further?
Yes.
Please
Fights aren't supposed to
roll.
cause any harm.
Uh,
Our streak has been perfect.
what do you want to resist that with?
I rolled with insight, so I suppose but I don't, so I
I
don't
actually
know.
think prowess, because this is a skirmish. Skirmish is under prowess.
Okay, that's fine. That sounds great.
Okay.
I will take it. So
3
that's
dice.
3 dice, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. 4 is still as good as I get.
Okay, so you'll take some stress. You'll keep this dwarven scholar from falling and cracking his head open.
Mhm.
And everybody is maybe a little chagrined. For those of you at home, the Steve who fell and cracked his head open Memorial Research Institute. But yeah, we'll talk about what kinds of spaces it can be built in.
Okay,
It'll be a little bit easier than it would have been, and it'll still require a building roll, but you'll have a little more access. Okay.
that sounds great.
Let's bring the founders together to talk about what kind of expedition you might want to undertake. Might do 2 of these. We've seen that last year, though it was quite a tick on everybody for that one. But like, what do you think are the things that your particular founder thought was important? Last time, the 2 expeditions we did were one of them going up to see the Tengu, right? Talking with them, interacting with them, doing that, going up on the mountain. And then the other one was going down into the caverns to explore down into those deeps. So kind of Tolan's idea for the first one, Dawson's for the second one, just to kind of establish that that's what's happened so far. Thoughts on what you would like?
Just to check in. Okay, so we're ending the new year phase. Does that mean now we're clearing our supply and all of that?
Oh, I'm sorry. You should have cleared your supply, and all that should have been cleared before we went into this phase. We're in the whole new year. The new year phase, that your turn has passed.
Okay, so would that have? I mean, did anybody use stuff?
Anything that you've spent here this session is spent. But
Okay.
I'm sorry, I should have had you reset back to 0 before we went into this session.
Gotcha. Okay. Did I use anything? No. Okay.
Yeah, I apologize. That's my oversight on that.
All right. So expeditions. We still have open to us. Going to meet with the centaurs. I do have someone I know there. We have that outpost that we still have not investigated, that was from the old metropolis here. We could figure just as a thing that's out there, and eventually I would like to look into that. We can look further into the mountain itself.
Got plenty of places to build in the mountain right now, so I don't think we have to go deeper quite yet. So maybe
The only thing I will mention that is a particular track that we've established as an expedition thread is, if you do decide to go into the mountain, there is that crypt.
Oh, I thought that's what we were trying to get to before last time. Oh, nice. Okay, so in the crypt.
Yeah. Digging down into the mountain is really more uncovering weird or unusual things than it is opening up new spaces to build in.
Is it? Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, settlements where we open up new spaces to build in.
Okay, sorry.
No. There's a lot of kind of
That's an
crossover. It took
awkward
me
thing with the
forever to get
rules. It's like
that in
if you
my head.
narratively discover a space, you haven't mechanically discovered a space.
Right.
And vice versa.
Because people have to go in and clear it. That's
Mhm.
the thing,
Makes
and
sense.
figure out what properties it has.
So what are folks thinking? What is really on our plate right now that's worth looking into? Ideally, we wouldn't mind doing something that pushes our reputation up. We've still got to get to 10 to take us
True.
up because
Two less.
our settlements for hold rather than tier, I think, isn't it? So it'll help
So
us with
I was looking into that earlier, and it falls under the category of this author is not overly careful about mixing and matching terms. But the section about raising hold seems to include both strengthening your hold and going up to the next tier.
So right now, if you were to do that step, if you were to get enough reputation, you would go to the next tier, but with weak hold. And then the next thing you would have to do is try to increase that hold.
Gotcha. And we'll dedicate that settlement. Does that mean, because I was looking at it and I'm not sure on how you want to read it. Does that mean once we dedicated, it helped with that time we did it? We'd have to
Yes.
build another settlement to use that sort of thing
Correct.
again.
That is correct.
That's what I sort of
but
was
yeah.
reading too.
And right now you're at 6 out of 10. So technically you only need 2 more to move up, because you get 2 less because of the if you want to use the settlement quarter.
So that's, an expedition that has potential to up our reputation could get our tier up. And that means we're growing our population and all that, which narratively makes more sense in our
Right.
expansion.
And you already
Right.
have the farm that you need to go up to the next tier
To dedicate
as well. Yeah.
So we go up to tier 2. What does it take for us to get the weakness taken care of? Do we have to do another 10 points of rep?
You need another 10 points of rep.
Or 8
build
if
a
we build
settlement,
a second
yeah.
settlement quarters.
And then 8 points of rep.
Yeah.
Okay.
But doing that from weak to stronghold doesn't require another farm, because that's not a tier move. It's a move from weak hold to stronghold.
Okay, so all you need is rep, but not a farm.
Right.
Yep.
Do we also
When-
need treasure? to
Yeah, there's
go
some
up?
treasure
Yeah.
requirements as well.
And we probably need to build a vault at some point so that we can.
So many things.
Yeah.
We need to
It's
build a
pretty
lot of
damn
stuff.
tight. It's
Yeah.
pretty
Of course,
darn
that's
tight.
in settlement.
May I, as a meta, make a suggestion here?
Mhm.
Meta, I would suggest that as our next expedition, we do the Centaur. It's one that's been on the table for a while. It has a potential for gaining reputation. It's an external one. And then potentially, if we want to do a second one, we could look at an internal one. And I think then maybe we turn to Dagriel then everybody would have kind of had a lead on one of the expeditions. Does that seem fair?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that seems
Except that my dice are horrible, so it just spells the doom of that, but
Absolutely.
okay.
Count
That's
on
why
starting
I
in
want
a
yours to
desperate
go
position.
second. So when all the dice are relying and you burn through all your stress.
I will not
Ah.
only be selfish, I'll then be impersonal.
In person. I think that's where we're going to stop for tonight. because we've got just about a half hour, and I don't want to start an expedition in the last 30 minutes. So we're going to start right away with that expedition. See about getting that done in that first hour next time. And then we'll see, we'll decide like if we want to do a second one next in that second hour and get through to by the end of next session, probably to another year and the settlement phase. Does that sound reasonable, everybody?
Yeah.
Okay. I would like to do a quick stars and wishes. So we have a sense of anything you want, particularly on the table for next session or beyond. Dagriel, stars, wishes.
It was very fun. I love watching my fellow players do their thing. I love these characters. And we're all pretty awesome at what we do. Same to you too, Lowell. You're pretty good too.
Fair enough.
So it was just like a fun game, and it's one of those things that makes me really happy that I play with this group of people. So and
anything wishes?
Yeah, this is a game that I'm glad that we have a quarter for it, but I would like to point out that this is like a quarter is just still going to feel like we've just barely gotten the threshold built. It's very annoying.
We will check in when we're there at that last in the midpoint, and we'll see whether we want to add another month on as we did with the veil or not. I will be open to having that conversation.
Okay.
But I will check in with everybody then.
All right.
So
I can already feel it. So
I am trying to consciously because having run Blades a lot, I am acutely conscious of the fact that this game trickles experience out. So I am trying to add in some things to make that a little more accessible to give you some opportunities on that end. Tolan.
Yeah, there's many stars. There's stars to everybody for just like I guess particularly to Patrick for that for basically
that was a great
everything
scene.
Dawson did this entire session.
Agreed.
And let's see, wishes. I'm always up for exploring weird things, and finding out more about what's going on here and what happened to the original people who lived in the city. Which maybe investigating the whole rune thing could offer some hints to that. But I'm embracing the unsteady by like just doing something and then never following through like I'm gonna do this thing this turn, I'm gonna do this completely different thing this other turn.
I think that's perfect. Anything wishes wise?
I'm looking forward to the possibly 2 expeditions we have planned for next session, because those both sound very interesting.
Okay. Grunheld.
Tons of stars on this one. I liked everybody's stuff. We're getting our personalities down in a way that I think is fun to see. Dawson is such an asshole. Dagriel is so calculating. Tolan, it is interesting that it seems like Tolan is so dedicated to the community, but I do notice the sort of do this. Oh, I'm also okay. What now? Do this, and it's neat to see. I'm enjoying watching us all grow as characters. big star too. I loved seeing the minotaurs come through. They were really cool.
Oh, good.
And an interesting star because I'm sort of picking up that there's a godbound connection, it seems like. That is pretty fun.
Yeah, this is the same world.
And that was getting that really strongly. I'd heard these other empires before, but then hearing this, I was like, oh dear. That was really cool. And like I say, I'm really enjoying seeing the city build. Wishes. I'm looking forward to this kind of split you're setting up. I think that it's really cool. Where Ethan, you were talking about, learning more about what the old city was, doing those internal expeditions as a thing opens that up. The politics that are outside are external ones. And so that back and forth is really neat. And we may not be able to do 2 every single time. Hell, we may even reach a point where we're like, no expeditions this year. We've got to, let's dig through. It's good enough. Hit the end of the year. But I like that kind of back and forth. That really is producing something kind of cool. So more of that and learning more of the city while trying to stave off all these pressures outside. I really like that.
Awesome. Dawson.
As everyone said, this was a super good session. I loved seeing people just like feeling out the sort of personality corners of their dwarves, and I like that we were a little slow to get into the like, all right, let's get into the mechanical meat of the year or whatever. I like that we took our time with laying the story groundwork for it. I also especially love that scene with Talon and the communing with the mountain and all of that. Ethan, I love how much Talon just sort of like would get buffeted by the wave of nonsense and like vitriol coming out of Dawson and be like, so you do want to try the drugs? Is that what I'm hearing? Yes, we're doing. Okay, let's do this. I'll get the tea going. And Lowell, I really appreciated in that that you brought in the like ancestor spirits aspect, because that was something I had noticed under Stone Speak, but we hadn't really like talked or delved into that. So I loved seeing some of the dwarven ancestor stuff come forward. That was super cool. Wishes, I mean, I'm curious to finally like peek behind the curtain of the centaurs, but if I'm being honest, like I'm really into this like Spirit of the Mountain, Tengu, ancient spirits sort of storyline set. I've been surprised by and liked each new layer of that so far. I'm also curious about the like Transformers LARPers out there with their metal.
You will see in the other Pinterest board, I've collected a number of those familiars pictures in there. So Beast War Transformers. In any case, I enjoyed today. I just want to say I'm really enjoying this. Like I dig this. We're 5 sessions in. I like where we're going. I'm enjoying this. This is definitely one of the best of the community building with an active participant where we've got mechanics that we're engaged in. I ran a lot of Mutant Year Zero, and that had some very interesting approaches to that. But I kind of like this a little bit better than that, even though I really enjoyed those things. This this feels very purposeful and it feels integrated with play, and I dig that. I am going to stop the recording.